I started a little early, about 7 minutes early, just to make sure that the view was straight. So we welcome anybody that joins. I hope that a lot of you join just to get to know me and who I am. Um, and I'm going to be just acknowledging the fact that um, I had 10,000 views on my channel. So on God's channel, not my channel, but God's channel. Okay. So if you have any questions at all, even after this live is over, um, put them in the chat, or not the chat, but put them in the comments, and I will do my best to address them. So I try to address every comment that somebody makes. Okay. And I'm just taking notes about some things I want to discuss. And just make sure I don't leave anything out. And I still have 5 minutes left, so before it actually goes live, as I had put it to start at 9 o'clock Central Time. I'm going to be discussing just a little bit about me. I know that a lot of you don't know who I am. I haven't really gave my testimony, and I just want to let you all know a little bit about myself today. My testimony, that thing will last like 3 hours, so I don't really want to give my whole testimony today. But I do want to get to know you all a little bit better. The people that actually listen to my videos, that have subscribed, and why you subscribe, why you listen, if you learned anything from the things that I've put out there, and what motivates you to come here and listen. You know, so that is the goal today. I have 3 minutes left. For those that watch later, my name is LaShonda. Um, I live in the Middle Tennessee area, Murfreesboro, specifically. I moved here. I moved to Nashville in 2000, in the year 2000, and I was there for 20. There's 23 years. Yeah, 23 years. And God moved me up out of Nashville. I actually love living in Nashville, but it's changed a whole lot since I went there, since I started living there back in 2000. Um, and it's still changing for the worse, unfortunately. So I have 2 minutes before it actually goes live. And the time that I set. But I'm married. I've been married for 10 years now. I've been with my husband for 13 years. 13? Yeah, 13 years. We have two kids together, 11 and 9. And we have two kids outside of our marriage. If you hear a noise in the background, that is my youngest son. He is asleep on the couch and he has been sick today, so he had to stay home. As a matter of fact, he's the third person in my house to be sick this week. So, by the grace of God, I'm not one of them. I've been taking immune boosters to boost my immune system. So, hey, I started a little bit early. Can you introduce yourself? Today is going to be just about you all getting to know me. You can ask any questions you want. I want to get to know you. Um, and just wonder, what brought you to the channel. Um, and what questions you might have about me. So I want to celebrate the fact that I have 10,000 views on the channel, and just get to know you and you get to know me. So I'm going to discuss a little bit of my story, my testimony, what brought me to YouTube. So, but I don't want to do this by myself. I want to be able to interact with whoever is online tonight. So I'm going to be telling you all a little bit about me, and I would love to hear a little bit about you. So, but it is 9 o'clock. I'll wait a few more minutes, see if anybody else joins. Again, it's going to be very informal. If you have any questions at all, are you a dreamer? Do you have a calling and you don't know exactly what God wants you to do? If there's something you're struggling with, uh, what brought you here in the first place? So that's what I want to discuss today, or tonight rather. I see one person on right now. So do you normally listen? Is it your first time here? You just put it in the chat. I'm still new to learning YouTube. So I'm still learning I'm learning the whole process of YouTube. So it took me a minute to get on here. I'm very shy, first of all. And I got in this process. I got my calling in 2020 and in November of 2020. And I started out doing blogs because I was nervous about being on camera. I was nervous about just having my face out there, like how I looked on camera. I was just fearful of being on camera and how I looked. So, but I have gotten over that now, and I'm here. So, I'm going to discuss a little bit about my testimony and how I came to be where I'm at now. So, hopefully, it'll be helpful to somebody that listens later on tonight or tomorrow, whenever they listen to it. So, but my name is LaShonda, and hey, Mama. Hopefully, somebody else will get on here. That's funny. And so, but anyway, I'm going to be talking a little bit about my mama's on here who might listen later on. So, but talking about a little bit about me and what brought me to this point here, and just hoping it'll help somebody else out. So, it's 9:03, and I'm gonna try to let a few more people get on if they get on. So Mom, since you're here, you can put some questions in the chat. Oh, I'm going to talk about the Feast of Tabernacles. Anybody that celebrated that this past week. This was the last day, so I did not get a chance to read the scriptures at all. I plan on reading them later on tonight. So, on my way about 1 more minute, and then I'll start. Is Ralph with you? There's people on there that know a whole lot more about this than I do. So I listen to what's that channel called? I forgot. I have to look it up. But they talk about the feast days and basically what we're supposed to keep. It was already written in the Bible during the time of Moses. We were supposed to keep these feast days, being part of his chosen people. Um, and at one point we didn't, and we suffered because of it. And then we did it again, and then we stopped. But these are the feast days that are written in the commandments, in the Torah: Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. So during the feast days, we're supposed to be reading the first 5 books of the Bible, or scriptures from the first 5 books of the Bible, and just relearning the laws that we're supposed to be following all along. So just for his chosen people, which is Israel, if you consider yourself to be the original Jews. So, but like I said, I didn't get to do the whole thing. I did it good for about 3 days, and once I started going back to work, it was hard to keep it. So, but I did stick to the scriptures. I did stick to the prayers. I did stick to the blessing, and I learned a whole lot. So far, you're the only one on here. But I will get into it. I was tired today. I got off work at 4 and had to take a nap for like 2 hours. I was falling asleep working. But anyway, so those that get on here later, I see somebody else has joined they jumped off. But anyway, for me, my name is LaShonda Williams. The channel is called The Unapologetic Disciple, but it's called that because I am a disciple. I am still learning. I'm still learning the rules and the laws of Jesus. I'm learning to love like him, to live like him, and just to do what I'm supposed to do as a follower, and to be as Christ-like as possible. So with that being said, that is why the channel is called that. God has told me that he will change my name and that I will have a new voice. I think that new voice is finally coming forward. And that's why you have seen a lot more from me recently. But anyway, so again, I was born in 1977. So that makes me 47 years old. My mom was on here, so we got good genes in our family. If you think I'm younger than that, that's why I look like I do, because we got good genes. But anyway, I am 47, and Mom, since you're on here, you can mention this in the comments. But I was born, or so I was told, I was born with a veil over my eyes, it's a covering that comes like I guess halfway over your eyes, and when you're born, they have to peel it off. So I think my mom was born with that too. So, Mom, can you mention that if you were born with that as well? And I think my sister was Felicia done the same way too? Were you? Okay. Was Felicia? Okay, so the veil thing. Like I was born with the veil over my eyes. My mom was born with the veil over her eyes, and I think my sister was too. Okay, well, maybe she wasn't. Okay, maybe she wasn't. But I know I was. Okay, so if you don't know anything about the veil over your eyes, at first I thought it was witchcraft. I really did. So I didn't think too much of it. But what I came to find out, really, just not recently, not maybe about a year or so ago, that actually it represents it's like a special gift that we have. Okay, so my grandmothers had it too. So my grandmothers had it, my mom had it, I have it. So it's a special gift. Um, I guess apparently that runs in our family or through our generation. And like I said, I thought it was witchcraft before, but it's actually a spiritual gift that we have. And some people use it for witchcraft, and some people use it as their God given gift. And we are what you would call seers. Okay, we are seers. So Genesis is down here. So we are seers. And what that means is that we get visions, we get dreams. They're usually prophetic. There are things that could be happening in the future, or things that we see in people that other people can't see, like different spirits, or he'll show us sometimes people. He'll show us sometimes like people's future, or sometimes people's present, like how they operate in the present, the spirit they're dealing with in the present. But sometimes we're led to pray for people and to intercede. Sometimes we're led to warn people. I get warnings about. It's not even just about people. I get visions of and dreams about things that are going to happen in the future. And I put some of those dreams out there. Um, and I'll discuss some of those later if more people get on. But the main thing is that it's a gift that God gave us that allows us to see into the future, or sometimes, like I said, see different spirits on people and stuff like that. So I was born with that, and I did not know really anything about that until I accepted my calling. I used to get dreams. I always think it was like deja vu, stuff like that, but um, I didn't think anything of it until I got my calling. And when I finally told Jesus yes, he finally revealed my gift to me. And I started getting the dreams and the visions and stuff like that. So, with that being said, um, as far as my calling goes, I'll go into that in a little bit. But like I said, I was born with the veil over my eyes, and that will come into, that will come into, I guess, into the known later on. But as a child, I was always like a happy child. My mom, she can testify to that. I was a little bit spoiled, but so I was a little bit spoiled. Um, yes, Genesis. Yes. Yep. Yep. So, but growing up, my mom had me at a very young age. So she was still growing up herself when she had me. But back then, that was kind of, I don't know. It was, I wouldn't say it was normal, but that was kind of like normal. I don't know. Mom, was that kind of normal to have kids that young? Back then, you can answer that. I'll let you answer that. but, but anyway, that wasn't out of the ordinary. Okay, because back then, that was the '70s, and I don't know. You all know the '70s. Depending on where you lived at, it was either horrific or it was like the greatest time ever. So, but anyway, she had me at a very young age. And I did not know. I didn't at the time. I did not know who my father was, but um, she did the best she could. She had to move out because she got pregnant, and her parents were very religious, and they ended up um, making her leave because she was pregnant outside of wedlock. So, um, with that being said, she did the best she could to raise me. But in the '70s, that was a time when I'll put it this way. Things went unsaid. I'll put it that way. Things went unsaid. Okay, so the path of a lot of people that um, I would say have been chosen by God. Like we deal with a lot in our younger years, and God knows He knows your path before you even born, right? He knows it. So with that being said, He knows what you're going to go through in your entire life. He knows it. He knows the end results of your life because He's already planned it. No matter how much you deviate from it, He will still get you back on track, right? So for me, much like many people that um, have a special calling in their life, I went through abuse as well. So that was part of my, that was something I dealt with as a child from the, it's around 5. And there's like 3 years I can't even remember of my life. Like I can't try, if I try to remember, I can't remember for anything. I don't know anything about that. I can't recall it. And God don't want me to recall it. So, and I think He just does that as a measure of protection because there's some things He will allow you to see and there's things He won't allow you to see. And it's for your benefit, right? It's for your benefit. So I went through that as a child and could not remember the at least 3 years of my life. Well, I'll say 3 years. But at the same time, growing up without a father, then you deal with rejection. Okay, you deal with rejection because you don't have the mom and the dad there. Okay, and being a girl, it don't matter if you're a girl or a boy, you still need both your parents there, right? So for me, not having my dad present or the person I knew was my dad present, then I dealt with rejection. I seen my sister, I seen my brother with their dad, but me, I didn't have that. So that was a part of rejection that was in me as well. And when you get to dealing with rejection as a young child, then you end up making wrong choices in life, okay, because you want to be accepted. So I went through the phase where I wanted to be accepted, right? And I won't go into all the details about that, but that's just part of the process of a lot of people that um, God has a bigger plan for. That's just part of the process. We go through a lot of things because He's building us and preparing us because He has something bigger for us to do in the future. Okay. So you'll deal with a lot of people that maybe are preachers or ministers or whatever. And I think that's because God has let them experience so much that they can relate to a lot of people. That's what I think. That's just my understanding of it. But with that being said, I will get to the point what brought me here. Because right now it's just my mom on here, so we don't really have a whole lot to talk about. When you join, just put some questions in the comments later on when you listen, and I will try to answer them. But let me get to where, let's see. I'll jump to um, after I got into college. I'll say I passed college. So I went to school, graduated, went to school because, again, when you deal with rejection, you want to be accepted. So for me, it was just trying to be like um, something outside of what I grew up with, right? Like I wanted to be the first one to go to college, uh, the one that does not have my child at 16. The person that I didn't even want kids. I ain't gonna lie, I didn't want kids. So I ain't even gonna lie, I didn't want no kids. But I knew I didn't want no kids at 16, but I really didn't want kids at all. So, but I knew I didn't want them at 16, and I was adamant about not having any kids, um, you know, before I actually got to live my life, so to speak. But anyway, so I went to college. I got out of college and moved to Nashville, Tennessee. And from there, I actually was in my senior year of college when my financial aid didn't go through, and I had to drop out in my senior year of college. And after I dropped out, I got pregnant with my oldest son. And I was, I guess, what, 24, 23, 23 or 24, I don't know. But anyway, I got pregnant with him. And the goal was to have him and finish up school, but then life starts to happen. So I had him and never ever went back to college. But the thing about him was he was sick. Like, he was sick for maybe the first couple of years of his life, like all the time. And for those that get on later, there's a pattern to this. Okay, if you listen and listen closely, there's a pattern to being uh, chosen and to being set apart. And I'll say set apart, not chosen, but set apart by God for a specific purpose, right? A set apart. So I'll just say set apart, all right? Because when you say chosen, people might think you're special, and I'm not special. I'm not special at all. But there's just a God set me apart for a certain purpose, and there's things we have to go through. So we're not special, trust me. So we're not special at all. But so he was sick for like the first couple of years of his life, and he was in other hospitals for, I guess, about maybe a year or so, a year and a half. Um, and then he finally had surgery, had his adenoids taken out, had his tonsils taken out when he was 2. He dealt with asthma, and I was literally in the hospital every single month with him, dealing with upper respiratory infections and stuff like that. And the thing about that is, and what I come to realize later on, is the devil will put many, many, many distractions in your way. He will do everything he can to keep you from doing what God has called you to do all along. He'll put distraction in the way. And um, for him, my son, now my son wasn't a distraction, but his sickness was a distraction. But before that, his father was a distraction, right? Because he was the one that actually began the distraction. Was when I got pregnant. Uh, that was the plan of the enemy. That was not God's plan at all. That was the plan of the enemy when I got pregnant with him, to get me off track of what God had me doing, because I was actually on a great track, and I was working. I was just focusing on work and just not going to clubs and stuff like that, and ended up getting pregnant. And that was something I realized later on in life, that was actually a distraction to get me off course to where God really wanted me to be, because I was going to church and all that stuff. But again, as you listen to this, you'll see that there's patterns um, for those that are set apart by God. Like, we go through certain things, and sometimes it's by our own choices, and sometimes it's not. So, but anyway, so with that being said, like, he was sick for a while. We found out he had asthma, so he we finally got him better. And after that, let's see what happened. So me and his father were never really together, but I got pregnant again when I guess when he was about maybe 1 or something like that. Um, and at the time, so at the time, it was not really a perfect time to have a child. So he said. So the father said. But come to find out that he had somebody else pregnant, but he talked me into actually having an abortion. So I had an abortion because it wasn't a good idea to have another child. So he said. Okay, so I did it. And that brings me to, and the thing about that was, like, at the time, I did not know. I didn't know, like, I didn't have that relationship with God like I have now, right? So back then, I didn't think anything of it. Okay, I didn't think anything of it. I didn't think I was doing any harm. I actually thought I was doing something good, because I was a single mother, um, and I just didn't feel like I was ready to deal with 2 kids per se. So I ended up getting the abortion. And the thing about that is, and I think that's why, I really think that's why God gave me this dream he gave me the other day. But the thing about that is, God bless, babies are blessings. Babies are blessings, right? So there are people in this world that can't have kids, right? They can't have kids. They can't conceive kids. They cannot. at all without the help of some kind of medical assistance or whatever. But babies are blessings. So when you choose to give up a child freely, when you choose to kill an unborn child freely, like God, He ain't gonna show you right then and there that He's disappointed. He's not gonna show you right then. But trust me, He will show you at some point that He was disappointed in your decision. Okay, He will show you at some point. So then I didn't really think anything of it, but um, I had a dream about Glorilla and Usher, but I'm gonna focus on Glorilla right now. I'm focus on her right now. So I had this dream um, a couple of nights ago, and I did a video on it. And I don't know why God showed me this dream about her, but it's coming together now. Like it's a lot of things that I'm thinking about now. I think it's coming together, but the thing about Glorilla was she admitted to having an abortion, right? The thing about her having an abortion, though, she was glorifying it, and she was saying like she threw a release party afterwards, but she also said that um, her it messed with her mental, like it messed with her mental, right? Um, and I couldn't figure out why God was showing me Glorilla in a dream. Like I listen to her. I don't listen to her music freely, but if it's on the radio, like I might bop to it a little bit, but then I'll change it. But she has a verse in her song that says, "If the baby daddy don't want it, don't keep it." Right? If the baby daddy don't want it, don't keep it. That's what she says in her song. Okay, so when I'm trying to figure out why God is showing me Glorilla, so in the dream, I'll reiterate it because nobody, if you haven't seen it, in the dream, we were at work, and it was a bunch of, it was a bunch of females that worked there. It was me, one of my friends that I know from work, her husband, and Glorilla. Glorilla was new. She was new, and I guess the shift was over, and we were sitting down talking, and the girls that were in the other girls that worked there, they were just talking and gossiping about people, and just talking bad about them. So apparently, I don't know if that was their boss or what, but I told them, I said, "Well, if you're gonna sit here and talk about people and gossip, you can just go home." And that's what I told them in the dream. So at that point, they got up and they started to leave, and Glorilla um, came to me because I was talking to my friend Star and her husband, and I said the word God. And when I said God, she got up, she came over to where we were, and she said I like y'all's energy over here better. So I knew there was something about y'all that I liked. So I like y'all's energy over here, and she said I'm gonna stay over here with y'all. So that somebody else has joined. I am talking about just helping people get to know me better. I got 10,000 views on YouTube. I'm excited about getting the 10,000 views. So I'm celebrating. Now it's over 10,000. I got 10,000 views on YouTube. And I was letting people get to know me a little bit better. If you have any questions, just put them in the chat. And I'll try my best to answer them. I do discuss a little bit of my upbringing, dreams, the things that brought me to where I'm at now, and my calling. And if you have your own personal calling and you're trying to get closer to where God wants you to be and stuff like that. But in the dream that I had, I'm talking about the dream I had about Glorilla. But she said that she was gonna stay over here with us because we were talking about God. So the thing about Glorilla, okay, so I mentioned the fact that she had an abortion. She mentioned that she had an abortion, but her music is glorifying having an abortion, and she's actually promoting women having abortions when the father don't want the baby. If you don't want the baby, don't keep it, right? So God gave me this dream about her, and I was trying to figure out like, why are you giving me a dream about Glorilla? I don't listen to her music like that. I don't know her personally, so why are you giving me this dream about her? But he showed me that she was going to choose him, right? She was going to choose him in the end. And what I was discussing before anybody joined was the fact that I myself had an abortion, and the fact that um, there are certain people that God has chosen, He set apart for a specific purpose, and there are things that we go through in life that gets us to where we are, right, in the end. And no matter what we do in our life, like God is, He still knows what's going to happen to us in the end. And He, even though we may get off track, He will bring us right back around to where He wants us to be. And I feel like that's what He's doing with Glorilla. I feel like He's showing me, first of all, I don't know this girl from Adam, okay? But just from what I know of her, she's promoting abortions in her music. She actually tries to give God the glory and the honor for her music. And I'm like, well, I don't know if you should be giving God credit for your music or not, because everything you rap about, it goes against His words, right? So you can't be giving God honor and glory for promoting abortions, because God don't go with that. That's not of God. So you might want to figure out if God blessing you or if the devil is blessing you, because I don't think God is going along with that. And I think that's why God gave me the dream about her, because I think God is trying to, first of all, warn her through me. I'm a nobody, right? I'm a nobody. I'm a nobody. She don't know me. I don't know her. I'm a nobody. But He's showing me, because again, I am, somebody else that's on now, I am a seer. Okay. And my mom is on here. She might not admit it, but she's a seer. My grandmother, we're prophetic. My grandmother's had it. I was born with a veil over my eyes when I was a baby. My mom had it. My grandmother's had it. And for me, what that correlates to is being a seer. Like God shows me things in the spirit or in dreams before they happen. He shows me people, and He shows me the spirit they're dealing with. He shows me warnings about them. There's something that will happen to them in the future. And He'll show me things about the world that's going to happen in the future. So I am a seer. I've gotten confirmation from that from other people, and that's the gift that I have. That's the spiritual gift that I have. So I don't call myself a prophet, but I am prophetic. Okay, unless God tells me I'm a prophet, I'm not saying I'm a prophet, because when you say you're a prophet, people hold you to a different standard. So I'm not saying I'm a prophet. I am prophetic. Okay, but so we're getting back to Glorilla, and I think that I believe that God showed me Glorilla, because I believe that Glorilla could be um, one of God's chosen people that's set apart, for a specific purpose. However, the fact that she has veered off from the track that He had her on, I think that's why He's showing her to me as a warning to pray for her, and to uh, just maybe get the exposure out there, that He does see her. He's seeing what she's doing. She's giving Him honor for something He don't have nothing to do with, and I think it's just a warning for her, because He showed me in the end that she will come back to Him. She will choose God, but right now she's young. She's made the wrong decisions, and she's made a choice that God is not happy with. Right. So I think that's why He's showing me her. But then I don't know anything else about her. I know that she grew up in the church. I know that I guess she had strict parents that, she was raised in the church, and they will let her like see some certain stuff on TV or whatever. But she grew up in a strict Christian household. Um, and I just always thought about that verse. Was it Proverbs 22:6? I thought about that when I thought about her. Um, I don't know what church she went to. I don't know what they taught. None of that. I don't know. But I just know that she has apparently veered off from the track that God had her on, or that He wanted her to go on, because He's showing it to me, a nobody. I'm a nobody. So anyway, with that being said, I'm talking about the fact that um, I had an abortion when I was younger, when I was about her age. Um, and so we're talking about that, and just the fact that um, there are things that we go through in life that God already knows we're gonna go through, right? He knows we're gonna go through it already. Um, but it's just something we go through on our path to the bigger purpose He has for our life, right? So with that being said, I will jump forward to when I actually got my calling, right? So a lot of stuff happened in between then. I got married, had my daughter, had my son. But the thing about and after I had my first son, I dealt with depression. Like for the first time I dealt with postpartum depression. And for anybody that jumps on here later on that deals with postpartum depression, it is not fun. Right, especially if you don't have a clue as to what it is. All right, so I didn't know what it was. I just knew that I would uh, come home and cry, like cry for no reason. Like I didn't know why I was crying. I would come home from work and just cry all the time. I didn't harm my child because there are some people that deal with it and they harm their kids, and so I didn't do none of that. But what I would do was come home, do what I need to do at the end of the night, put them to sleep, and I would cry, like just for no reason. Like I don't know why I was crying. I was depressed. So ended up getting on medication with him for a little bit, and got over that. Well, kind of, but I got over that. But after, let's see, then I'm gonna jump to when I had my second child, and I dealt with it again when I had my daughter. I dealt with it again with my daughter, um, and with her, um, ended up having anxiety, depression, um, and I ended up taking medication again for her, and I was dealing with postpartum depression then too, along with anxiety and depression. So I was taking that medication, but even with her, after that, I started drinking alcohol on top of the medication. Okay, on top of the medication that I was trying to take to get rid of depression and anxiety, um, I ended up taking it with alcohol, which did not make anything better. Okay, so I think I said this I did a testimony at church, and I mentioned it to them that Mama said I was spoiled, and I had to yep. I know I was spoiled, Mama, but so I ended up taking medication to try to get rid of my anxiety and my depression, but I ended up taking it with alcohol, which did not help the situation at all. So, with that being said, and then on top of that, okay, the trauma that I mentioned before in the very beginning, I didn't go into a whole lot of detail about it, but the trauma I dealt with before came back at that same time. So, I was dealing with depression, anxiety, past trauma, and I was fixing it with alcohol and medication, which did not work. Okay. So, at that point, and this is where if you deal with any of this, like whoever gets on here later on, if you deal with any of this, um, trust me, I've been there. Okay, I've been there. But the thing is, again, when God has something bigger for you, you can mess up. Okay, you can mess up, but God is not going to let you. He's not going to let you. He will not let you fail. Okay, He will always intervene. It's called divine intervention, right? It's called divine intervention. And for me, that divine intervention was my youngest son. I got pregnant with my youngest son when I wasn't even trying to have kids. I didn't want no more kids. I didn't want kids to begin with, remember? But I got pregnant again for the third time with my youngest son. And my youngest son came in the midst of dealing with anxiety, depression, trauma, and drinking alcohol. That's where he came. So God intervened in my life when I got pregnant with my youngest son. And I tell everybody to this day, like, my youngest son is like, I don't know, he's a light that never goes out. So he is a light that never ever goes out. So God saved me. He used my youngest son to save me at that particular time in my life. Okay. And anybody that knows my son, you'll know that he is the light. He is the uh, the life of the party. Right, his light is always shining; it never goes dim. And if anybody try to put his light out, they're going to deal with me. So, but anyway, so after that, I got pregnant with him, and um, from that point forward, that's kind of where it. That's kind of where it got started, where God was really waking me up. Right, He was really waking me up. He was waking me up at that point. Now, I wasn't all the way woke, no, but He was waking me up at that point. Um, and this was around, I think, around 2019. It was 2019, and that's when I kind of got the, I guess, like the urge to kind of get more spiritual. I always call myself spiritual, right? But the thing about being called spiritual, you gotta be careful with that word, because there's a difference between being spiritual, um, being religious, and being a follower of Jesus Christ. That's something totally different. Because I also used to be into horoscopes and to tarot card readings and psychic readings and stuff like that. That's what you call spiritual, okay? Which is also witchcraft. All right. So you have to be careful with when you say you are spiritual, because that is witchcraft. Okay. Um, you should not, if you are calling yourself a Christian or a follower of Jesus, you should not be doing tarot card readings. You should not be doing psychic readings, or even looking at your astrology. None of that. Okay. That is witchcraft. Okay. So with that being said, I was kind of waking up around 2019. Um, to the fact, trying to get closer to, because I grew up in the church. Right, my mom was on here; she can test. But I grew up in the church. I was in the choir, sang in the choir. I got baptized at a young age. I spoke in tongues at a young age. So I always knew church. Right, I always knew church. Right, but the difference between me going to church then and going to church now is we went to church, we sat there, we kept our mouth shut unless we were singing, and we went home. Right? Because if you thought you was gonna get popped while you was in your seat. So that's the difference between going to church then and going to church now. Like, we weren't really taught. Like, we weren't taught. We did, like, we had fun. We did like vacation Bible school, and we had Sunday school and stuff like that. But I don't remember really learning anything except learning like the books of the Bible. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. So I always grew up in the church, so I knew church. Um, I spoke in tongues, I think, when I was like 11 or 12, but that was at a Pentecostal church. I think I only did it one time though. So, but I got baptized because my cousins got baptized. Like, it was me, my sister, my cousin. We all got baptized together. So we knew church, but we didn't know relationship. There's a big difference between going to church and having the relationship with God and with Jesus, right? There's a big difference. So I didn't have the relationship. So in 2019, I was actually starting to get curious about the relationship with Jesus. So I wanted to set aside some time to read my Bible, and to keep up with my journal, and to start writing down prayers and stuff like that. And in 20 this wasn't 2019, was it 2019 when it yeah, it was 2019. It was 2019, matter of fact, because this was actually before right before um COVID. Matter of fact, it was probably around the beginning of 2019, because my oldest son graduated in May of 2019. So when he right before he graduated, we had to move. So in the month of May, we're in the middle of moving into a new home, and I kind of got the urge to kind of get closer to God then, but um, we had to move. There's a lot of stuff happening around that time, so I never got around to like really sitting down to read my Bible. I wasn't working. I was actually focusing on my real estate license. So, but I had all the time in the world. Um, I just never really set that time aside to spend with Jesus and to read and stuff like that. So we moved in at the end of May in 2019, and when did COVID hit? Um, May, June, July, November. November is when we started getting sick from COVID. Um, and I remember I don't get sick that often. Like I really don't get sick that often. And my oldest son had gotten sick, and I thought he had the flu, and I just gave him flu medicine. I got sick, and I was sick for over a month. Um, I took off from work. I never take off from work for being sick. I took off a whole day, ended up sleeping the entire day, and I had a cough for an entire month after that. And couldn't find out. We knew later on it was COVID. But with that being said, that was November 2019, and then um, in March, let's see, in March was when I started working from home, and we ended up moving again in May because we needed a bigger space. The space we moved to it was too small for us, so we ended up moving into a bigger space, and we moved there at the end of May. And in October of 2019, and somebody else has joined on here. I'm talking about. I'm just helping people get to know me and who I am, a little bit about my history. I got 10,000 views on YouTube, so I'm just saying thank you all for watching. Whoever watches later on, so thank you for getting me to 10,000 views. And I'm just talking about a little bit about my testimony and how I got to where I am now in this journey. So if you have any questions, put them in the chat. Just say hello. But in 2019, no, 2020, we moved, and was 2020? Yeah, it was. But in October, I started getting this really. I just felt like funny in my spirit. I don't know. I couldn't describe it. Like I can describe it now, but back then I couldn't describe it. It was just a really funny, uneasy feeling in my spirit, and it was in the month of October, and it was around Halloween. I just felt really funny. I couldn't explain it. Like I just, you get this like this sense of fear or whatever inside of you. Like that's what I felt. Um, but again, I never felt that before, so I didn't know what it was. Um, so I kind of ignored it a little bit. And then in October, also in October, that happened around. It was close to Halloween, the month of October. But after that, like I started getting like attacked, like not physically attacked, but like just mentally attacked, like it was personal. Like my husband started just coming out of left field and arguing with me about dumb stuff and just starting arguments for no reason. And and it was out of character for him to do that, right? So I started actually praying to God, and I was asking God, like, what is going on? Like, what is happening here? Because my husband has never ever talked to me this way. He's never attacked me this way. He's never called me out of my name. Like, what's happening? Right? Because it was only affecting me. I'm the only one getting attacked, right? So I'm like, what is happening here? So I actually literally prayed and asked God to walk through my house. I said, walk through my house, come through my house, show me what is happening here because I don't know what this is. Like, what's going on? Like, walk through my house and clean it up, expose to me, like, show me what's going on here. I need to see what's happening. So, with that being said, and at that time, our house was kind of like our house has always been the house where everybody come and have a good time. They can sit and listen to music, sit and drink, whatever, have a good time, right? That's always been our house. Like it's always been like, well, I take that back. It's been like that since I got married. Because before I got married, my house wasn't like that. I didn't do that. But when I got married, that's just how we roll. Like that was my husband had a big family, so everybody would come to our house and hang out and have a good time, go home, whatever. But so that's how our house was at the time. Like on holidays, people come to our house. On weekends, you come to our house or whatever. But I started asking God, like, God, like, what is going on in my house? Like, walk through here and show me what's happening. Because when you ask God to show you something, He will do it. He will do it. Just ask Him. So I was sitting down in my chair, and one night I had a drink, I was sitting and watch TV, just chilling, minding my business. And remember, this is during COVID. The kids are at home, and I'm thinking life is great because I ain't got to go to school. I ain't got to get up and get them ready for school in the morning. They doing school online. I'm working from home. I ain't got to go out in the public and be around people that's getting sick. I did my grocery orders online. I didn't have to go nowhere. Okay. So I'm cool. I'm comfortable. I'm good. I ain't got to be exposed to COVID, none of that. So when I asked him to do that, and then that night I was sitting in my chair, uh, I was sitting there, and all of a sudden, like he just literally punched me in my chest, and I kind of gasped for air, and I thought I was having a heart attack because I couldn't breathe. Or I couldn't breathe, so um, I just kind of sat up for a minute in my chair and just like, I kind of trying to catch my breath. And at that time, I started crying. So, and I'm like, because I couldn't breathe for when I thought I was having a heart attack. I was crying, I couldn't breathe, and it felt like there's something heavy, like really heavy, was on my chest. So uh, I was sitting there, and then I just heard God say, um, I heard God say something like, "Get yourself together." Before that, he said something like, "You dealing with a generational curse," and then he said, "Get yourself together because your kids will need you." Like I heard God clearly say that in my ear. I heard it clear as day. So after that, I ended up calling my grandmother on my husband's side because she's a minister. Called her, and she had me read. And this is how the enemy, like he had me so. I guess he had such a grip on me, like he wasn't trying to let me go, right? So she had me read a scripture, and I was trying to read scripture about breaking soul ties. And the scripture she gave me, I don't know which one it was, but she gave me a scripture to read, and I couldn't even read the scripture. I could not get it out. Like every word I tried to say, I couldn't get it out at all. Like I couldn't breathe. It was like somebody was holding my throat, and I could not breathe and get the word out. So I finally got the word out. And once I finally got the word out, I felt like this huge boulder lift up off my chest. And so I knew at that moment that demons had fled, like demons were gone. They had fled because the prayer that whatever she had me read, that scripture about breaking soul ties, it caused demons to flee in that moment. So after I finally got those words out, and we started praying about breaking soul ties, because remember I was abused, right? So that abuse was connected to um, the person she was praying with me with to break soul ties. All right. So that I had been dealing with that. And this, how old was I at this point? Like 40, 42? I don't know how old I was, but I had been dealing with that pretty much my whole life. Right. And God showed me at that point that I was dealing with generational curse because of the abuse that I had suffered as a child. And he told me to get myself together because my kids would need me. That's what he said. And once we said that prayer, we broke that soul tie, and I felt a heaviness that was on my head. I felt that heaviness just lift up, and it was gone. I felt light as a feather. So she prayed with me. I talked to my mom. I called mom. I called you. And I talked to you about it, and so I let her know what was going on. And so yeah, that was my calling. And at that point, like I didn't understand it. Um, and it took me a minute. I started looking it up because I'm like, what just happened? Like I had no idea what had just happened to me. Like what just happened here? But um at that time, like when I heard the Lord speak to me, it was undeniable that it was God. Like it was him speaking to me. I had never heard God speak to me ever in that way ever. So at that point, he started I actually prophesied to my oldest son. I prophesied to him, and he started giving me dreams and visions, and he was showing me things, like, and he gave me instructions, and he said, get the alcohol out of the house. He said, get the alcohol out of the house, because remember I told y'all, like, our house was kind of like the party house. Like people would come and hang out. Our house was a place to come hang out at. So I told my husband, I told him, I said, I don't know. I said, all I know is the God has said, get this out of the house, and get the alcohol out of the house. And he said, I forgot what he said. I don't know what he said. I said, I don't care what you think. God said, do this. And because God said, do it, we're going to do it. So he agreed. Like he agreed. And really from that point forward, we did not have any more parties like that at our house at all. Like they stopped. Like we might have somebody come over, like an occasional one person come over, hang out with him, but we didn't have no parties like that at all at our house after that point. Right. So the one thing about your calling is being obedient to what God tells you to do. Okay. It's not so much like, because everybody talks about sacrifice. No, obedience is better than sacrifice. Right. Because we all have all of our walks are different. Everybody's walk is different with God. Okay. So he might tell you to do something that he don't tell me to do. Right. So whenever he tells you to do something, you do it. So for me, he told me to get the alcohol out of the house. We got the alcohol out of the house. Okay. So he did that. I say started giving me dreams about things that were going to happen in the future. And I won't really talk about that. It's not. It has to do with my oldest son. I won't talk about that on here. That's his story, not mine. But the thing was, he used he used kind of used that situation to cleanse me up, so to speak. He cleansed me up. He had to fix my heart because my heart was very hard. My heart was um dead set on certain things, certain things I was not going to tolerate, what I would tolerate, what I wouldn't tolerate, and he had to fix that part in me in order for me to help somebody else. Because when he calls you, it's not for you; it's for people that are connected to you, all right, and people that you're going to be used, that he's going to use you, like people that he's going to use you. He's going to go through you to help somebody else, basically. But he has to clean you up first. So he had to clean me up first in order to use me to help somebody else. And for me, it was my heart. Right? It was my heart because I was not tolerant of certain things. So he had to fix my heart. My mouth was very reckless. I could say anything I wanted to. Like I would say anything. I would say whatever I wanted to out of my mouth. Like my mouth was very reckless, and I meant what I said, and I said what I meant. So he had to fix my heart because I was saying stuff that he didn't like, basically. So what he would do, he made me go back and apologize. If I said something reckless, he correct me, convict me, make me go back and apologize. If I didn't get it right, he made me go back and apologize and do it again. If I didn't get it right, he made me go back and apologize again. And then finally, after about 3 or 4 times, I got it right. So I got it right. So, but God is funny. He's funny. God is funny. But he will convict you in a loving way. Okay? He will convict you in a loving way. Right? He won't do anything to hurt or harm you. Right? So he did convict me of the things I had to be convicted of. Right? And he fixed me in areas I need to be fixed in. And when I got it right, it was funny because I was kind of questioning him at that point. I'm like, are you sure? Like, this is all you want me to do is change my heart? Like, you okay with this? Are you really okay with this? I'm like, really? And this all you want me to do was change my heart? Like, okay, I did it. Now what? Right? Like, okay, so if you cool with it, you really cool with this, right? I'm questioning God, like, are you okay? You really okay with this, right? So after that, I hadn't heard from him for a minute. I didn't hear from him for a while. I'm like, this is all you got for me? So you really just wanted me to change my heart towards this particular situation. Okay, I did it. Okay, what? Right, what? So, and that's kind of how I talk to God. And like, God has a sense of humor, and he knows that we are human. Wasn't doing anything to disrespect him. And it's okay for us to question God, but we cannot question God, so to speak. If you understand what I'm saying. So, so yeah, I was like, okay, is that it? That's all you got. That's all you had me to do. That's all you want me to do this whole time was change my heart. Okay, it's done. All right, change my heart. Cool. So after that, he got quiet for a minute, and then he started urging me to quit my job. This was in October of 20, I think 21. He started urging me to quit my job. And remember, we're still dealing with COVID. Okay, so first of all, it's a blessing for us to be here because the thing about like it was so many people that died during COVID and got sick and dealt with like um just dealt with like what you call long COVID symptoms. It's a blessing for me to be here and still and not be dealing with long COVID or none of that because I got sick 3 times. I'm pretty sure all 3 times was COVID. But I refused to go to a doctor and confirm it. I refused to claim it. I'm not claiming COVID, but at one point I thought I was gonna die. It was in the middle. It was actually in February of I think 2021, maybe I don't know. We had a big snowstorm. I live in Tennessee, so we had a big snowstorm, and I had gotten sick, and I think my husband was. I think was gone. He was still driving trucks. I'm trying to think if he was gone. I don't know, but I know he had got sick too at one point. But I was so sick, I had to go. I had to get some. I didn't have no medicine. It was snow and ice on the ground. Or we lived in on a back road, so they didn't clear our streets. But I had to get some medicine because I was sick. So I ended up having to go drive my car up down this icy road, go to Kroger, which is going up a hill, and I was coughing so bad, like I was coughing. I was like I looked like death. I looked like death. So I was coughing so hard, and when I got to the store, I didn't want to cough in the store because it was COVID, and everybody was afraid of getting sick. And so I had on my mask and I went in the store. I was trying to hold my cough while I went to go get my medicine. I went and got my medicine, got in line, checked out, and I was still holding my cough while I checked out. So I got outside, and once I got to that door, I released my cough, and I coughed so hard, and I could not catch my breath. Like I literally thought I was gonna have a heart attack because I could not catch. You know how you cough and you can't catch your breath when you're coughing, like you can't get a breath in because you're coughing so bad. Like that's how I was coughing. So I got in my car or my truck at the time, and I was sitting there thinking because nobody was in the parking lot. I'm like, I'm about to die right here. Like I'm about to have a heart attack and die. Like and nobody's around. So I was actually praying to God, like just get me home. Like just get me up out of here. Like get me home, and just get me home. Like I don't want to sit here and die in this parking lot. Ain't nobody here. But so I got home. But I was just saying, I like it's a blessing to be here after COVID, right? After COVID. So what was I at? November. What did I say? That's November. Okay. Past that. Okay, so yeah. So he told me to quit my job. This was in October of 2021, I believe. He started urging me to quit my job. And so when he did that, like again, being obedient, when he did that, I was kind of like, quit my job. Like, okay, let me think about that for a minute. So, all right. So he was telling me to quit my job, and I kept feeling it till he wanted me to quit my job. But the thing about my job was I worked at Kroger for one, and Kroger, I would sit there and listen to gospel music all day, like all day at work. Because at Kroger, if you all don't know anything about the company, they push and condone the LGBTQ. So, and a lot of people that work there are part of that community. So, I'm having to sit here next to a coworker that's talking to another coworker, and they're talking about their relationships, what they're dealing with their same-sex partners all day, like all day, and they're loud about it. So, I put my gospel music in everything. Every single day I went to work, I would put in my gospel music, and I would keep it on to the point where I wouldn't even hear my boss talking to me. They would have to come to me and be like, all right, oh, sorry, I'm listening to my music. So, because I don't want to hear this man talking to me about his relationship with another man, or this woman talking to her relationship about another woman. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear it. So, when God started telling me to leave Kroger, I was like, okay, I know why you're telling me this, but give me a minute. Like, I need to stack up some money. Let me talk to my husband. about it. Let me just let me sit on that for a minute. But when God starts telling you to do something, it's best you do it when He tells you to do it. So this was October. So He kept pushing me and pushing me and pushing me and pushing me. Like it was to the point where He wasn't letting up. He wasn't letting up. So December came and I said, okay, 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 okay. Like I will quit my job. Right. So I gave my job a 30-day notice. Who gives their job a 30-day notice? Like who does that? Right. Normally it's like 2 weeks, something like that. And my thing was like, cause I'm like, okay, I needed to give them time, like just to make sure they can replace me and stuff like that. Right. So I gave them a 30-day notice. My last day was on December the 23rd. And 7 days later, on December 30th, something happened in my family that basically really changed like my whole walk with God. Like it changed my whole walk with God. Like, I was still questioning him and stuff like, but at that point, when it happened 7 days later, like when that happened, I won't go into what happened, but something happened in my family that changed my whole relationship with him. Right. And I can always go back and say, if I had quit earlier, would this have happened? Um, I don't know. I have no idea. But all I know is that God don't make no mistakes. And He's faithful, right? He's faithful to us. And even though it took me 2 months to listen to Him, He was still faithful to me, right? So at that point, that changed, just basically changed my whole walk with God. And he basically made me have faith in Him. Like he forced me to have faith in Him instead of me trying to do things my way. He wanted me to listen to Him and see how He done things. Like he made me have faith in Him that I probably wouldn't have ever had before, right? If I hadn't went through what we had went through. And this faith, when I say faith, this faith I had to have lasted for a year and a half, for a whole year and a half. Because in that time frame, we ended up moving. Um, but we had to move, but we had to move in with my mother-in-law, and that lasted for 9 months. Okay, so with that right there, and remember this time I've already accepted God, like I've accepted my calling. I'm already um, doing. I started doing like the blog. I was afraid to do YouTube. I started doing my blog channel, my website with my blogging on it. I was doing like the prayers in the morning. I literally had an office, right, dedicated to getting up and praying in the morning, to reading the Bible, to studying. I had people calling me that I was talking to and praying with them. Um, and that's what I was doing this whole time, right? So at that point, we had to move, and moving with my mother-in-law, that kind of stopped. Like all that stopped because I didn't have the space. I didn't have the we call it the privacy. I just didn't have that. I didn't have the time to do it, nor the space to do it. Right. So that was when. That's an example of when it's like twofold. The enemy will try to come in. That's a way for the enemy to try to come in and kind of distract you and get you off course. But it's also a way for God to test you to see if you are going to stick with Him despite the obstacles, right? And so for those 9 months, I dealt with a whole lot. Like when you said the enemy tries to, like he used anything to get you off course. He tried everybody, anything he could to get me off course in those 9 months. But I still stood firm. My mom can testify to this, like, because we would talk all the time about this. But he tried anything and anybody he could to try to get to me. But I stood firm in trusting in Him. I stood firm in praying to Him. And that was my wilderness season. I know a lot of people are going through their wilderness season right now, but that was my wilderness season right there. That was my wilderness season. So At that time, I just had to rely on him because we got denied 15 times for a place to move, for a new home. I ain't never been denied 15 times for a place to live. Now, one time maybe, but 15 times, 15, that's a lot. It's a lot. And the thing was, we kept trying to move back to, I don't think my mom's on here anymore, but we moved back to Nashville. We tried to move back to Nashville, but we could not find a place in Nashville. We couldn't find a place there at all. Like it was too expensive, or you kept getting denied. So let me show you how good God works. Okay, so we've been waiting 9 months to move. We've been living with my mother-in-law for 9 months. In this 9 months, me and her are butting heads every day. Every day. Every day. Are you still here? Okay. Every day. So when I applied for the place, this was a guy that I was in real estate. I never even heard of this guy. Like I hadn't heard of his company and none of that. But I applied for it on I think a Friday or a Thursday. And the place was far out. Like it was really far. It was in a different county. It was far out, like way further than we wanted to be at. And the house was small. It was like 1,300 square feet with one bathroom. So and it didn't really have it had a yard. Like it had a yard, but it didn't have no storage. And we have a lot of stuff. We coming from 2,300 square feet, and this one is only 1,300 square feet. So I applied for it, and I reached out to him because we kept getting denied, right? So I'm like, okay. I sent him an email. I said, look, if you have any questions, just let me know because we kept getting denied. Like, why are you denying us? Like this, if you actually contact us and ask us a question, like we can answer it. Because they were just denying for like, because I didn't have a job. I had to get a job in order to get this place. I wasn't working. I didn't have any proof of income. My husband had just started a brand new job, so he really didn't have. They didn't want to accept like his past history because he had a brand new job. So I was like, "You have any questions at all? Just call me. Like, call me or send me an email." Um, and he said, "Okay." He said, "I'll let you know. Like, you should get an answer within 3 days, or whatever." And this would have been like the following Tuesday or something like that, Monday. So when he said that, I said, "Okay." So an hour later, he sent me an email back and said that we were approved for the house. Then he called me and he said that, well, the house you applied for, he said that was not available. No, he sent, I think he sent an email or a text. It was a text. He said the house you applied for, he said that was not available anymore, but I got something bigger. And that's what you were looking for, right? You look for something bigger. He said it has 3 bedrooms, has 3 baths, and it has a garage. He said, "Do you want it?" I said, "Yes, we'll take it." I didn't know where this place was. I had no idea where it was. I said, "Yes, we'll take it." So he gave me the address, and I looked up the address, and come to find out, it was like 20 minutes from where we were currently staying, and it was also one street over from where some of our friends lived. We had some friends live in the same neighborhood. So I said, "That's our house. That is our house." So, but in that, it shows you like that no matter what you that's what you're looking for, when God has his hands on it, he's gonna give you more than what you asked for. Right? He's gonna give you more than what you asked for. And that's how I knew it was God, because for one, he knew that place was gonna be too small for us, and the fact that we got approved, but approved with something bigger than what we originally asked for, that was nothing but God. So, and when God gives you something, like it don't come hard. It's nothing hard about it. Like it comes easy. And this whole process with this company, with this person, was easy from the get go. Where everybody else, we had to, go, come look at it, wait like 2 weeks, or show this information or show that information. But for him, it was simple. was real simple, and it was affordable. So, yep, yep. He gave us more than what we needed at that time. So, but so where was I at? Oh, so okay, so at that point, that was like I said, God was testing me. He wasn't testing the people that I was with, so to speak. He was really, well, I take that back. He was, but um, he was really testing me in that moment to see if I was going to remain focused on him and um, the plans he had for me. Right? That's what he was testing me, because God will test you to see if you truly are truly with him, right? During the good times and the bad times, right? During the good and the bad. So he was testing me in that moment. And um, I passed that test, right? In spite of everything I was going through, I passed that test, right? But so after that, um, we moved here, and I told you all that I had to have faith in him to handle something that wasn't really my problem, but he used that problem in order um, to get me to trust him and to have faith in him, right? So, and he did just that. His promise says he gave me a word. Um, the word was dismissed. Okay, the word was dismissed, and once he gave me that word, that's what I stuck. I didn't worry about anything after that point. I didn't stress over anything. I just had to wait for the words to come to pass, and they did. A year and a half after those 7 days, when he had told me to quit my job, and I finally quit my job. Right. So for somebody else is joining, the Lord tested me. He tested my faith for a year and a half. And that was a situation that brought me closer to him, and gave me it let me trust him more than ever, right? So and this is, I think this is going to, wow, it's going to an hour and almost an hour and a half now. But I was telling a little bit of my story about my upbringing, so you can go back and listen to it later on. If you have any questions, put them in the comments. But let people get to know me. I got 10,000 views on YouTube. So I just want to say thank you all for watching and listening, and hoping you learning something from it. But just put any comments you have in the chat if you're still here, or put them in the comments later on if you go back and listen. But so yeah, at that point, so I heard the words dismissed. So when you trust God and you have faith in Him, like He will do what He says He's gonna do, right? And again, when you have a calling and you have been chosen, and when I say chosen, I mean set apart. When God has set you apart from the world, from people, from anybody, right? He will make sure that he goes through with his promises. Like, he's not gonna let nothing, no hurt, harm, or danger come to you. Okay, so with that being said, that's some of the things that you just have to go through as being set apart. Because again, it's not about you; it's about the people connected to you. And if I didn't have faith in God for what He said He could do, then it could have been a whole different situation. It could have went a whole different way, right? But because I trusted in Him, I trusted Him for something, I believed in Him for something, I have faith that He would do something, then He came through for me. Not just for me, but for the other person involved as well. Okay. But if I had not had faith, and if I had not instilled faith in the other person involved, then it may have went totally left. Okay. So but again, like I told, like, it's not, well, not, I didn't install faith. God to put the faith in there. I just had to let them know that they had to trust God with the process, and don't don't trust me. That's not me that's doing it. It's God that's doing it. Okay. All I'm doing is praying for you. That's it. But God is the one that's going to answer the prayer, not me, but Him. He's going to do it. So you have to trust Him in the process, right? So So that was that. And I told God when He gave us this house too, I told Him, and I made a promise to Him. I said, when I promise you, when we move, when you give us our house, this house will honor you. I said, this house will honor you. I said, that is something I can promise to you. And it's not that the house before didn't honor Him. It's not that. It's just the fact that uh, I don't know how you want to word it. Like, because you done something for me, like I want to do something for you, right? Because we don't owe God, and like God don't owe us nothing. He owes us nothing. He already died on the cross for us. He owes us nothing else. Everything else is a bonus. Like He owes us nothing, but we should owe Him everything, right? We owe Him everything, right? So I just told Him, this house will honor you, and I've kept that promise. Okay, and I'm not perfect. I ain't saying I'm perfect. What I'm saying is I continuously seek God out, and I'm trying to be obedient to the things He tells me to do, and just moving forward. And the thing is, the more obedient you are, the more um, it's steps. Okay, I call them the step, like AA. I say it's steps, like AA. Like you finish one step and then you get elevated to another step, right? There's things there's something you have to complete in order to go to the next step, and that's how His calling is with you and with His people. Like you have to finish one thing and get to pass that test, and then He'll move you up to the next course, so to speak, so you can pass that test, and then He'll move you up to the next course so you can pass that test. He's continuously elevating you um, to something higher, but you have to pass the test first, right? You got to pass the test. Okay. And when God knows He can trust you with something, then He will give you more, right? He'll give you more than what you ask for. If He knows He can trust you with something, right? So that's just the process that I'm in now, is just being obedient, because like I said before, I think I did another video, but I said if I had started this like back in 2020, if I had not been so afraid and so fearful of jumping on YouTube and doing a video instead of doing a blog, then I might be like some of these other people on YouTube. Like, I don't know if some of y'all have favorite followers or whatever, but I got people that I follow. They started their process the same time I did, except they weren't afraid to jump on YouTube. I was. So I started out with a blog. But I said if I had done it then, I might have been just as busy. But I don't care about that, because I'm not trying to be like somebody else. I'm trying to be what God has called me to be. I'm trying to be what God has me doing, not what He has somebody else doing. I don't want to be like anybody else on YouTube or in this world for that matter. Right? I want to be what God wants me to be. So like I said, with that being said, it doesn't matter when I started, because God will catch you up to speed, right? He can elevate you overnight. He'll catch you up to speed, right? He'll catch you up, even if you're behind. He'll get you caught up, right? And again, His timing is perfect, right? And like I said, if He has a call on your life, if you're chosen and set apart, it don't matter what you do, God will still get you on track and get you back on that same track, because He already knows your life. Like he told me He gonna change my whole name. He already told me this. He's told me this already. He told me He's gonna change my whole name. He's told me I'm gonna have a new voice. Like He's told me this. Those are His promises. He's not gonna break those promises. Only person that can mess it up is me. So, but again, even if I mess it up, He gonna still do His best. It might take me through a rougher path to get there, but His promises are His promises. I can only make it harder for myself, right? Because He's already told me what He's gonna do. So, but again, so yeah, well, that's kind of where the point I'm at to now. Like I started making more videos and just getting more comfortable doing the videos and this is actually only my third live, third, because I'm still getting used to doing lives. But I think at some point I'll get more used to doing the lives too. I just gotta get used to being able to like see myself and talking and not having to think about it, like and having it already in my head to think about. Like I'll get used to it. So, but that is about me. I've been on here for an hour and a half now, so I'm not gonna talk about myself probably for another 2 hours. But um, that's pretty much my story. But the point to get on here was to get you all to know me a little bit, and hopefully get to know you all some more. I know. Oh, I think I said I am a seer, but um, I do get dreams. Like God speaks to me in dreams. So if you have any dreams you want to mention in the comments later on, if you have any questions about your calling, about your purpose, anything you might be dealing with, because I am also called to pray for people and to intercede if God lets me. Um, if you're dealing with something and don't know how to deal with it, I'm here for that too. So what people don't realize is like the happiest I was honestly was when I was not working, when I was focusing only on doing the ministry part and studying and reading my word, and that was probably the most happiest part um, of my life of doing this. Right, when I could focus 100% on my purpose and my calling. Right. But the thing about it is, God, no, you can't do it halfway. You cannot be 50% in and 50% out, right? You have to be all in, okay? And my preacher told me that I might be called to minister, um, and I might be. I don't know. I don't know. All I know is that I can't do it working a full time job and trying to do it part time. That's why when I wasn't working, it was working out perfectly because I was doing what I was called to do. And he's leading me back now to um, where I'll be leaving my job. I'm about to be debt free. So I'm not going to need to work another job anymore. But he's giving me that again. Like it's time for you to go. Like it's time for you to go and do what you're going to do for me. Right. So I'm getting that now again. Right. And the only reason I went back to work the first time when he told me to leave, I did. I was obedient, left my job. The only reason I went back to work was because we had to move and we could not find a place to move unless I got a job. So, but that's the only reason. Oh, so I don't even want to talk about that right now. I can go into a whole nother topic on this. But with that being said, for those listening later on, so if you have any questions at all, just put them in the comments. But my mom has been on here. Thank you, Mama, for being on here the whole time, keeping me company. But so you all, if you're not prepping, okay, God needs for you to prep. I don't know where you live. I don't know, but I live in Tennessee, and he's telling me he's leading me to prep your like get non-perishable stuff. If you can get generators, whatever. But he's leading me to prep. Okay, he told me on October the 3rd that it's gonna be better to be inside than outside. Now there's a whole lot of different scenarios to go with this, but I believe he's telling me about the 3 days of darkness that everybody keeps talking about. But I think because it was on October the 3rd at he woke me up at 3 a.m. And I have a lot of people try to tell me I like people try to tell me like they try to give me advice on what God tells me, and I don't say anything except for what God tells me. Like if I give a word, like if I unless it's something I'm teaching, like a topic I want to talk about, I don't relate anything that God says unless He has said it. I'm not gonna say God said unless God said it. So I mean, somebody try to tell me, well, the enemy comes at 3 a.m. Also, yeah, but the enemy ain't gonna tell me to prep. The devil ain't gonna tell me to prep. He ain't gonna tell me to stay inside when we know he operating outside. Okay, so God does speak to me in dreams. He sometimes will wake me up and he'll speak to me just just out the blue. Like he's told me things about my kids being protected and covered for so many years, and um, he's shown me a lot of things. Okay, but I'm telling you, he has. It's not just me. He's telling. He's leading other people to tell you to prep as well. So prep. Okay, prepare for anything because these elections are coming up, and I don't know what's going to happen with the election. I have no clue. I don't know, but I do know that something is coming. Just be prepared for the unexpected. Not to be fearful, okay, but just prepare for the unexpected. We don't know what it's going to be. We don't know if it's going to be a natural disaster. We don't know if it's going to be another 2.0 of, you know what, the COVID. We don't know. I have no idea. But he just told me it's going to be better to be inside than outside. And what else? Um, Pray for the presidents, even the one that's currently in office. Pray for him. Pray for Donald Trump. God already showed me that if he gets in office, they're gonna try to kill him. So pray for him as well. If you don't like him, pray for him as well. We don't want to wish death on anybody. Okay, but so pray for him as well. Even pray for Kamala. I don't really like Kamala, but pray for her too, and pray for she um, change her ways. But they go for both of them actually, both of them. I still have my reservations about Trump. I still got my reservations. Okay, I got my reservations. So I'm not voting for either one of them, but I got my reservations. But at least Trump is more leaning towards God's morals and values. Let's put it that way. But anyway, but I'm going to get off of here, and I can't believe I stayed on here for a whole hour and a half. I'm proud of myself. All right. But anyway, when you get on here and listen later, oh, Mama, don't forget to share it on your YouTube. Share it so people can see it. I'm gonna put it on my thing too, but share it. But if you have any questions again, put them in the comments later on. And I will hope you have a blessed day and a glorious night, or a blessed night and a glorious night. And I will talk to you all later. Go back and listen if you just joined. Just a little bit about myself. If you have any questions, let me know. All right. Bye bye.